All right, I think we are live. Welcome to the HT Fit Club podcast number 4. My name is Anni Oostaik. I'm from Annia's Coaching and the owner of the Healthy Thyroid Fit Club. And today our topic is happy liver, happy hormones. And I'm super excited about this episode because we have a special guest all the way from Canada. So Teresa Funk is joining us today. And before we get started, because this is just an international group, maybe I'm from Finland, but I live in Germany, and Teresa is joining us all the way from Canada. So if you are watching, I would like you to comment under this video and just tell from where are you from. So I would like to hear in which country are you now, because we are such an international group, so it's nice to hear. And yes, so I would like you to meet Teresa Funk. Teresa is an integrative, holistic health and nutrition coach. She's also a certified personal trainer, and she is working with women who are struggling with hormonal imbalances. And Teresa, I'm really excited that you joined me today in this episode, and it has been really a pleasure to get to know you and also to learn from you. And yes, you are really passionate about your work, and you are such a nice and like fun and dynamic personality. It's really nice that you joined. So before we get started, maybe you can just tell a little bit about yourself. And I know you love what you do and you love your work. So from where this passion comes from?
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much, Annie, for having me on the show today. I'm excited to be here too. And basically my whole thing about myself was that, I started struggling with estrogen dominance, and I didn't really realize that until I started having some really, really weird symptoms. I shouldn't say weird, but just obviously some familiar symptoms that that were not very fun. And before I would help anyone that would come into my door, who had just a typical, oh, I just wanted to lose some weight, or I wanted to learn a little bit more about what I should be eating. And that was great, and I really loved helping those general people. But it wasn't until I went through my own personal journey with hormonal imbalances and other situations that have to do with estrogen dominance that became more of a passion for me to help these women going through this transition or this time of life, or even just having this come on at an earlier age in life. Say someone is in their later 30s, early 40s, and I'm actually at the end of my 40s and going into my 50s, and I thought this was way too young for me too. And I did do some research and find out that, I am a little bit on the younger side of things, because when we reach menopause, where the average age is usually around 52 to 55, that's the average. But that's not to say that we can't go through it earlier. So that's where my passion started coming from, because I wanted to have, I really wanted to give women a place to feel supported and a place to relate to, because I have gone through that as well. So, we can study and we can read and we can go to school for all those things, and that's great. But if we don't go through it, I think we'll have, I wouldn't say a harder time, but it's a lot easier to relate to the woman, when she has gone, or when you have gone through that same thing, and we're both aligned.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's dig a little bit deeper into our topic. So a lot of women a lot of my clients, probably your clients as well, they are struggling with weight loss, or they want to lose weight. So can you a little bit explain the relationship between the hormonal imbalances and weight gain? So how is it that the hormones affect our weight gain or weight loss?
Yeah, definitely. So it can be very difficult to lose body fat, especially when we are going through hormonal imbalance, estrogen dominance, because the estrogen and progesterone hormones, they have to do a dance, and the dance has to be, done with finesse, if you will. They have to be, in line with each other. And we can go through estrogen dominance in three different ways, because there's three different types of estrogen dominance. There is basically estrogen that is high and progesterone that's low. And estrogen that is high, but progesterone can be normal. And also estrogen that is normal, but progesterone that is low. So even if all three of those situations, you still could be estrogen dominant. So in order for that, for weight loss to happen, those hormones have to be dancing together. And one can't be off than the other. And progesterone and estrogen both have to meet up and line up together, or else, again, you're going to have some difficulties with the losing the weight. And then obviously some other things that can start happening, such as, getting a possibility of leading itself into like insulin resistance and having other, estrogen dominance issues, such as really bad PMS, which can be a sign of that. And, just typical things. Even chronic stress could be another thing, another way that we understand that we're having estrogen dominance. But a lot of us don't realize or think that, it's like, oh, your body's actually really stressed. It's like, really? Some people wake up one day and they're like, I didn't think that it was. But internally, the body can be stressed. There can be inflammation that we're not really thinking about or realizing. So which brings up, again, estrogen dominance, making it very difficult, or can make it difficult, to lose weight, and to feel good, to feel healthier, to be able to sleep better. Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned this estrogen dominance already a couple of times. So how can I know if I have this estrogen dominance? Of course, I can go to the functional doctor who is doing all these hormonal analysis, but without going to the doctor, is there a way to know if you have this?
Yeah. So again, some of the common symptoms of estrogen dominance are, well, weight gain. So if you're finding that, it's like, well, I'm eating really well, and I've been exercising well, and I've been sleeping really well. My sleep hygiene seems to be really, really good. I'm not staying up late and getting to bed on a normal time. Why is it that I can't still lose weight? Like, what is going on? So if you're feeling like the weight gain has, been very stubborn, and you're following, a good healthy nutrition plan, and you're still having a hard time, that 1 pound that you're trying to lose, which typically, if we did everything right, we could typically lose 1 to 5 pounds per week. However, if you're finding that, weeks have gone by and you can't even lose 1 pound, then that might be a sign of estrogen dominance, or something going on with the liver and with the gut. And then other symptoms, it could be hypothyroidism, which I know, Annie, you're very familiar with, given what you do with the thyroid. And hypothyroidism, unfortunately, can be a misdiagnosed problem. And women, even in an early age, like say if they're going through these symptoms in their mid-30s, sometimes are given, thyroid medication when really it's an estrogen imbalance, a hormonal imbalance and estrogen dominance. And we do want to get to the root causes, not that we just want to put a blanket approach to things and give it a Band-Aid and say, okay, just, go and put the medication on and don't worry about anything else. We need to know what the root cause is. So it could be hypothyroidism that is leading and causing estrogen dominance. It could be endocrine disruptors, such as things as, which I'm sure you know about, is xenoestrogens, man-made plastics and stuff like that, our storage food containers, if you will, stuff like that. So we need to think about, what are some of the things around us that we can start changing in order to alleviate the estrogen dominance. Yes, diet is very crucial. We need to really understand, what is it that we need to be eating. We need to also take care of our liver, because your liver houses most of your hormones, and the liver has like so many functions. Actually, it has over 500 jobs, believe it or not. And so when your liver I'm kind of rambling on here, but when your liver is not working appropriately, it's going to have a really tough time to actually metabolize hormones, metabolize estrogen. So we need to really take care of the gut. We need to take care of the liver. And then again, understanding what are happening with your hormones, exactly what's happening with your progesterone and with your estrogen. Are they dancing together? Are you too low in progesterone? Are you too high in estrogen? You know, obviously that's what estrogen dominance is. That's the main. So yeah, nutritional lifestyle for sure is one of those things. We want to look at the environmental. We want to look at our stress. We want to look at our sleep. We want to look at, you know, are we having a lifestyle where we're having a lot of movement? You know, we getting the appropriate exercise? Because a lot of these things, again, leads to estrogen dominance. If we're not careful, or sometimes it just creep up on us and we don't even realize, even when we are doing the right things. But again, I think you mentioned before something about being stressed. We can be internally stressed and having inflammation and not realizing it, which leads to an estrogen dominance. So if you're finding you're struggling with weight, or you're feeling tired, you're not sleeping well, insomnia is another thing too, and then or having really bad PMS, those are just some of the familiar symptoms of estrogen dominance. You might want to take a look into that further with somebody who can help you with that. Yeah.
All right, that's very interesting.
Mm.
So you mentioned the liver and the role of the liver with this hormonal balance. Can you explain this a little bit further? So what has our liver to do with our hormones?
Yeah, so like I said, the liver has like over 500 jobs. It's an amazing and resilient organ. And when we are not giving it the right nutrients, it has a very hard time to metabolize hormones. It needs to clear its way for a good hormone myelination, if you will. So we want to be good myelination laters to get rid of estrogen out of the body, because we need estrogen, but we also need to get rid of estrogen. Now, if the liver is not able to do that appropriately, actually you can recirculate those metabolites, which causes, again, estrogen dominance. So we really need to think about the nutrients that are coming into our liver and how to support that. And again, it is a very resilient organ. So when we're treating it a lot better, your liver is able to all of a sudden just kind of flip a bit of a switch. So if we are if we're stressed, or say if we're having too much sugar, or even alcohol, your liver has to work super, super hard already to do that. So if that is being compromised by just doing those jobs and it's not getting the right nutrients, then we are leading ourselves to not making a good pathway to metabolize those estrogens, or metabolize hormones, if you will, in a very efficient manner, because it's taken up so much space to have to detoxify everything else that's happening that you're doing, like from the daily, like just stress and eating, or if you are, someone who enjoys a little bit too much wine and sugar, that's huge. And actually our liver can hold up to 5 pounds of sugar, believe it or not. So it's amazing. So we really need to think about lifestyle changes nutritionally, and trying to, get rid of stress. And then obviously, exercise is a big portion to do with that too. Just being able to move so that we can metabolize estrogens out of our body as well with exercise. The gut has a lot to do with that. And we need to have, good healthy bowel movements every day to metabolize estrogen out of the body as well. And so people are like, oh my goodness, you're kidding me? Like, we don't think of those things, but we really need to take care of the gut and the liver in order to have this good estrogen, detoxification.
Yeah, so what would be the right kind of food then to kind of detox the liver?
Yeah, definitely. So we need to think of things as, vegetables. And I know a lot of us don't love vegetables, but when we are really needing to take care of our liver, some of the vegetables that I'm sure you've heard of and know of, and your clients, are cruciferous vegetables, super, super important. They come from the brassica family, And some of those cruciferous vegetables are a lot of common ones that we eat normally, such as cauliflower, broccoli, um, kale, and Brussels sprouts. Those are just a few common ones, if you will. But also importantly too is to get in some greens, stuff like dandelion greens, broccoli sprouts. They're great nutrients to help filter out and help support the liver immensely.
Interesting. Actually, this dandelion green that you mentioned, that's something that it grows naturally in Finland, like everywhere. So
Oh,
is that like, can you just go outside and pick it up, or do you need to somehow, how do you eat that actually?
yeah, for sure. Well, personally for me, I know a lot of people grow it, and but I buy mine. I know I could probably grow mine. They'd probably be super easy to grow. Unfortunately, I live in a northern hemisphere in Canada. I mean, we do get sun, but not all year round and stuff like that. But on the West Coast, we get a lot of rain, so I tend to go and just buy my greens. So they are very, very simple to use and to eat. You can put them in your shake. I cut them up and put them into my shake. You can saute them with some eggs in the morning or even with some kale. So you get a lot of abundance of greens. And if you're having a hard time swallowing that, put them in a shake because sometimes we can just kind of, mask the flavor, but they are very mild in flavor. Not like some of the pungent ones like kale can be a little bit more, astringent and powerful. But yeah, dandelion greens are extremely easy to digest and very, very good for the liver. And especially broccoli sprouts too. They can be a little bit peppery and spicy. So you can soak them if you want to. You can cook them up very lightly and or just put them in your shake. And speaking on to cooking, when we are eating cruciferous vegetables, especially if we are having thyroid issues, Annie, and I'm sure that you know this too. It seems to be that it would be a better idea to steam those cruciferous vegetables for thyroid health, just so that because we don't want to develop those goitrins on the thyroid. And steaming them actually delivers some properties to help us to have a better support our hormones actually, and also to help with metabolizing estrogen and hormones out of our body. So yes, steaming good cruciferous vegetables, some greens, and you can eat those a little bit raw, and try not to cut them up so much, and just kind of leave them as as a salad. That would be a really good idea too.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. I actually do recommend to all my clients to eat a lot of cruciferous veggies and always cooked because of the thyroid issues.
Right.
So that's great. Just checking my notes what I wanted to ask. So yeah, when you talk about these foods that are good for the liver, what is your thought about doing like a liver detox? Does it make sense to do like 2 weeks or something like a detox, that you really eat a lot of these things and cut out of sugar and coffee and alcohol, or is it better to just eat them all the time on a daily basis?
That's a great question, Annie. I love that question. And the thing is, exactly, before like running out and going to buy, the latest trending supplements for the liver detox or whatever, I would just recommend that everyone just starts implementing healthier nutritional habits that will support support your liver in ways that are always going to be conducive for a longevity for a long time, not just for a short period of time, and just eating more greens and more vegetables consistently is going to help that. And if we're constantly this in out, and once in a while I will do it, and then we get on a bandwagon, say around Christmas time, after Christmas, like, okay, now it's a New Year's resolution, I'm just going to do this for a little while. And then we're going back and forth doing that. That actually can be more detrimental for your hormones and for estrogen imbalance. Hormone imbalance. So we don't want to keep going back and forth. We want to be as consistent as possible to support your liver, to support having a smoother transition into, maybe the perimenopause and the menopause states. But if we're back and forth, up and down, and it can have some terrible consequences. And so, yeah, I would recommend, doing just eating the nutrients that we need, and then trying to, use that as a last resort, going to pills and potions and powders and supplements. I mean, other supplements, when I'm not talking about micronutrients such as, like vitamin C and vitamin E and selenium and zinc, because that's all really great to support your liver too. I'm just talking about when we see advertisements as like, oh, here, do this liver detox. You're better off just eating the right nutrients and reducing your sugar, reducing your caffeine, reducing your alcohol consumption considerably, if not eliminating it altogether, because it is a poison for our body. It's not to say that we can never have a glass of wine, because there's a lot of us all over the world that love to enjoy a glass of wine. It's just really understanding that we need to take some time to recognize, if there is things going on that we're not feeling quite like ourselves, or if our body is not responding to, exercise and a good nutrition, that there might be something underneath the hood that you may want to look into. And it could be just those factors I talked about, like too much sugar, maybe too much alcohol at the time, stress, and not enough nutritional nutrients. There could be a lot of deficiencies there. So, it can, again, not lend itself to a healthy liver, and then of course making estrogen dominance and hormonal imbalance that much more, in a sense, not good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just implementing these vegetables, eating healthy, having daily healthy lifestyle. It's what do you recommend, right?
Yes, it's definitely what I recommend. Definitely just going into just saying, you know what, just take the bull by the horns and say, I just got to get healthy here. Like, enough of this, up and down and all around. And, and we have the ability, we have the power to kind of override our genes, because our genes play a smaller role, and they don't need to dictate on how we feel and what we're supposed to look like. We can override that. And epigenetics is an amazing thing. And that's a topic for another time. But epigenetics is, we have the power to either turn on the right genes, or turn on the bad genes. So if we're constantly turning on the bad genes, we can lead ourselves into estrogen dominance for sure down the road. So we really want to focus on turning on the right genes as much as possible. So we are, not going to be, lending ourselves to, maybe insulin resistance too, which could be part of estrogen dominance, or thyroid hypothyroidism and stuff like that, because it all just plays such a role. That all of our hormones need to all play together. They need to dance together. So definitely lifestyle, nutritional choices, are a huge component of that. And again, we can override those genes, even if we have some, all of us have some not great genes, and a lot of us have wonderful genes. So yeah, we can definitely, we're in the driver's seat. We have a lot that we can do to support our health.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned the underactive thyroid, because I have an underactive thyroid myself, and of course a lot of my clients have thyroid issues. And what I have also noticed, that often these two things come hand in hand. So people with thyroid issues tend to have also estrogen dominance. So
Yes,
that's
definitely.
interesting. And well, you mentioned the menopause a couple of times. Is it, like, I'm 35, and in your experience, is it common to have, like, women at my age to already have these issues, or is it more like the problem for people who are entering the menopause?
Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, Annie, it's becoming more and more common for younger women to go through these menopausal situations, but it's more to do with estrogen dominance and those things. But yeah, it is becoming more common. It's unfortunate. And again, because we know we go through a chronic stress, we can be chronically stressed, and hypothyroidism has a large component to do with that. And a lot of us run around not even realizing that we are having hypothyroidism until it's like, oh wow, we really, start understanding that there's a lot of symptoms happening to us that we're just like, what happened? We're gaining weight, we're feeling super tired, maybe our hair is falling out or thinning. I know I definitely have gone through that, and it's not fun. So ladies, I totally get it. We can be in our 30s, we can be in our 40s. And like I said, I'm 47, and having gone through that just a couple of years ago, I was so surprised. I thought, I'm so healthy. I'm a nutrition coach, a fitness trainer, and I help women with all these things. And why is it that I'm going through that? Well, stress. I was going through a lot of personal stress at that time in my life. And stress it's interesting how it can bring upon all of these things, these estrogen dominance. So yeah, it seems to be, we would think the norm would be in the 50s to reach these stages of life, but unfortunately it's becoming more and more common for us to be a little younger in our early 30s, because even after women having babies, say after their late 20s, early 30s, they can go through this too. And stuff like PCOS, endometriosis, that's another component of, some estrogen dominance going on as well.
All right. Yeah, I guess it's the lifestyle, the current lifestyle that's causing a lot of problems. And also, you mentioned these estrogens earlier.
Oh, estrogens, yeah.
Sorry. So, what are those? Can you give like a short explanation if somebody doesn't know what they are?
Yeah, definitely. So a xenoestrogen is like a man-made material. So we're talking about like, chemicals. They're called endocrine disruptors, if you will, or hormone disruptors. And so they can bind and stimulate estrogen receptors in our body. So they can mimic the estrogen that's in our body, and our body doesn't recognize it as something that's different because it looks the same. That's what a xenoestrogen is, or an estrogen endocrine disruptor. And they come in the way from, they're found in like pesticides and cleaners, plastics, even shopping receipts. Can you imagine that? You're going to the receipt and you hold it, you put it in your purse, and that stuff actually gets absorbed into your body,
Oh,
and
wow. I
yeah,
never thought about the receipts.
I know, right? It is so interesting. And, other places in our environment, and, and even it could be, commercially raised animal like chicken and beef. Obviously they have to be inoculated and stuff like that. So we're actually, when we're eating that stuff, it goes into our own blood system. It goes into our own estrogen, in our own endocrine system. And then we are now not realizing that those endocrine disruptors or xenoestrogens are like now developing more and more into our body. So we want to be able to detox those out. But again, that liver plays a big role. However, there's a lot of things that we can do to, try to avoid those endocrine disruptors. And that's stuff like getting rid of the plastics in your house. So if you're using like a food container storage, go with the glass instead, maybe with a bamboo lid, and get rid of the plastic lids. Do not microwave anything. Also, eating as much organic nutrients as possible. I know it's not always economical, so maybe even looking into a farm that's local to you. That might have a program where they support, buying more boxes of organic produce at a cheaper price. You can do that. Or even looking into someone who raises cattle or chickens, but they're not using, all those things that kind of disrupt our body. So grass-fed beef would be really good, and organic chicken would be good. Another thing, if you're, eating animal protein. And also making sure that you have a high fiber diet. A high fiber diet is going to complement itself into getting rid of, again, the estrogen that's in the bowels and stuff like that, because we need to have something to get it out. But again, we got to support that gut. But so yeah, having a high fiber diet, getting rid of those plastics out of the house, your hair and your makeup products can be another cause for endocrine disruptors as well. So try to use as much natural product as possible, organic shampoos. They don't have to be expensive. It's becoming more mainstream now where things are not so pricey like they were maybe like 10, 15 years ago. So I would look for a homemade skincare or some type of natural skincare, natural hair products. And again, looking at the food that we're eating, are you eating organics? And even with your vegetables and fruits, looking at the dirty dozen, if what that is. I'm sure Annie's told a lot of you about that, the dirty dozen, when it comes to organics and the clean 15 type thing. And then making sure that you're reducing the sugar, reducing the alcohol, cleaning up your diet, and having a higher fiber diet. And that's those are just some of the things that you can look into when it comes to those xenoestrogens or those endocrine disruptors in the things that we can take control of inside the home. But the thing that I always tell my clients is they want to know, where do I start first? Because there's so many things to do, right? And the biggest thing that you can do, and the first thing you could do, is start with your nutrition. Clean up your nutrition. Once you finally got a handle on that, then I would look on how you're storing your food. And then I would look at, what am I using on my face? What am I using on my hair? And I'm a diva, man. I love my stuff. I love my hair product. I don't wear a lot of makeup or anything like that, but I definitely love my lotions and perfumes and stuff like that. But you even using stuff as essential oils is way better than going out to buy $100 perfume bottle. And essential oils can smell so lovely and be really wonderful for our stress levels even too. Yeah.
Nice, great. By the way, if anybody is watching live and you have any questions, you can just ask now. I'm gonna check the comments if anybody has asked any questions. So there is just comments. Marika is watching from Finland. Let me see. And why I don't. Okay, so Sylvia is asking, what specific changes did help Teresa to get rid of the problems she mentioned she had? So I think Sylvia is referring to the problems you mentioned in the beginning. So what changes did you do that helped you to get rid of those problems?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so definitely, I was already eating really clean, or at least I like to pride myself on doing that. But I also have a sweet tooth, and so I had to really minimize. I had to almost take out sugar, like for many months. And it's not. I'm not just talking about table sugar, but I'm also talking about eating too much fruit, because I'm a big fruit lover. And I had to make sure that the fruit that I was eating, not to say that fruit is bad, because fruit is not bad, but I needed to make sure that the fruit was like more high fiber fruit. So stuff like berries, and getting rid of, for a time being, not for long term, but for temporary, getting rid of stuff like bananas and tropical fruits, which were creating more sugar problems for me, more insulin resistance. And so I had to change that, had to change the sugar. I also did something called the Dutch test, which you can get all your hormones tested, and tells you what's happening with your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, your cortisol. It's an amazing test because it tells you exactly what's happening with those hormones, but it also tells you how you are metabolizing those hormones. So it's a really, really great test. It is a bit pricey, but if you're going to invest in your health, it's a great way to invest into knowing what's happening with you exactly, because we can go to the doctor, and our doctors are wonderful. They're great, but sometimes, our doctors are not, they're not comfortable with combining untraditional methods of healing. So we need to kind of be an advocate for ourselves, and maybe look outside of that realm and going towards someone that's a functional medicine doctor. So that's where I needed to take myself. I needed to understand, it's like, okay, I can see my doctor for certain things, and, I can get my thyroid tested and stuff like that. But I really would like to see someone, as a functional medicine doctor, who can really understand about botanicals, bioidentical hormones, if I needed that, and some other, supplementation. and some, other herbs that I may need to take. So those are some of the things that I needed to do in order to start changing what was going on in my body.
All right, thank you. Sylvia is also saying 47, no way.
Oh,
and
thank you. That's so sweet.
And okay, I'm starting to eat this broccoli every day now. Yes, we need
Yes.
this. We need the broccoli.
You steam it.
All right. Any other questions? Anyone? Well, actually, I have my last question. So you also mentioned the gut health earlier,
Yes.
and you have told me about this kefir you are making yourself. So this coconut
Yes.
kefir. So can you tell, like, how do you make this, and what's the benefits of it?
Yeah, so definitely kefir is amazing. For one thing, it's a fermented food, and it's cultured drink that actually it's originated from like the mountainous regions of Asia and Europe, and it's similar to yogurt but thinner in consistency, and it making more of like a sour taste, and kind of slightly fizzy. And but the fermentation actually helps with our building good gut flora, because we definitely need that, right? We need to give the healthy body bugs something to eat, and fermented foods such as like fermented vegetables or kefir, sauerkraut, those are wonderful beneficial foods for the gut, and to lend itself to a better, healthier gut, which will also lend itself to a healthier liver too. It all works together. And you can make the kefir very, very easily by just purchasing some coconut milk and an acidophilus, acidophilus bacteria, or you can get something called the kefir starter. Some stores have that now. You can also buy it in the bottle form. You can do from milk, or you can do from coconut milk. Both are very easy to make on your own, or you can go to the store and buy it. However, I know our stores, it can be a little bit on the pricier side. So making yourself can be fun. And yeah, if you're needing the recipe, I'm sure that I can give Annie a recipe, and she can lend it to you and show you what that is. And basically you just, and you have to put some, you can either do it through grains, or you can do it through the acidophilus powder. So it just depends on what type you want to make. If you wanted to make like from milk sources, or if you want to make it from coconut. So again, you can ask Annie about those details if you need to and would like to do that. But it is extremely beneficial, and it's also good to consume that, because it can help with a better blood sugar balance, and as well as a blood pressure, cholesterol, and it also helps create those bacteria strains, like I said, in our gut health. So there's so many benefits to having kefir, and it tastes good too. You can put it in a shake, put it on some oatmeal, you can drink it on its own, and it's really, really great. It's got a lot of probiotics. So yeah, I really love kefir.
Yeah, I love it too. I usually just buy it from the store because they sell it here in my organic little shop. But
Right.
yeah, I definitely want to try to make it myself as well.
Yeah, right. Oh, and also to mention, sorry, Annie, kefir is a good source, like the dairy one is a good source of calcium. And when we are going through this time in our life, these transitions of menopause and perimenopause, we can obviously be more prone to osteoporosis, and we need good calcium. So instead of going out to get calcium supplements, which I don't always recommend, I would rather, we eat the foods that we can get the calcium from. So kefir is a beautiful source for that, and as well as your leafy greens and some nuts. But definitely, if you want to, are interested in making the kefir, I say go for it. Do that soon.
Yeah, that's a great tip. All right, so I don't have any more questions, and I see if there is no more comments either. If somebody still wants to ask something, just please go ahead and type something. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Teresa. This has been super interesting. And so I will post Teresa's website in the comments under this video. So if you want to find Teresa, you can find her website. And you mentioned that you have some kind of little giveaway
Yeah, I have a happy liver happy hormone cheat sheet on my website. So if you go to the website, you'll find it there, and some other goodies. And yeah, and I hope that you find some helpful tips from that.
All right, so I will post the link to the website below this video so you can find it. And if you still have questions later on, just please ask. I can always ask Teresa and find you the answer. So go ahead and ask your questions below. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Teresa, for joining. This was
Thank you.
super interesting. And yeah, I wish you all a nice evening and see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Teresa. Bye-bye.